Hi. I've tried to do this video once before, and it's been kind of hard to do on YouTube. I don't really want to show my face, or I just don't want to show my face. It's my face, so I shouldn't have to show it. But basically, I want to talk a little bit about December 22nd, 2012, and some of the different psyops and things that you might have to deal with or face. I do believe we're all going to wake up on December 22nd, 2012. However, I still think with that happening, I still think a lot of change is yet to come. One of the biggest psyops or biggest things or hustles you're going to have to deal with, of course, is of the people that believe that the 21st is a transfer of consciousness or a new awakening, which it's going to be for a lot of people. A lot of people have anxiety about December 21st, 2012 for a lot of obvious reasons. One, 2012 has been a very, very odd year, and I think we'll all agree on that. As far as climate goes, as far as a weird solar cycle or we've currently had. I know a lot of NASA and a lot of other people said it's been a really weak cycle. I wouldn't call it weak so much as confusing. I think for the universe and the rest of the solar system, it's been a pretty intense solar cycle. We just have been for a reason I'll talk about on a different video. We've been very lucky to not have to deal with some of the major flares that should have and could have hit us. So the one thing I'll talk about, or one of the things I'll talk about, is how we wake up on December 22nd, 2012, and this new awakening that's going to be a new hustle. You're going to have a lot of with all the crazy stuff that's been happening this weird. You have that group of people that they're just hell bent that the world's going to end for sure on December 21st, 2012. Hopefully this doesn't happen. I'm sure it probably already has, and we just haven't heard for it in the media, at least here in America. You're going to have some people that want to commit suicide, which if you know any of those people who are even thinking about that, and you are their friend, loved ones, family members, brother, sister, mother, father, uncle, niece, cousin, whatever you are, you should go over to that person, call them over to your house, and smack them upside the head. Remind them that they're alive, and remind them that's just stupid, and even if the world was going to end, wouldn't you rather just watch the comet come in or watch the flare burn up the universe? I mean, honestly, it's the last major, point in humankind's existence. You might as well embrace it. I mean, you really got no choice at that point. I mean, you could try to survive it. Why not? But like I'm saying, if shooting yourself in the head sounds a lot scarier to me than trying to figure out what's going to happen on, next Friday. But it's saying that, the people that don't commit suicide, the people that have heavy anxiety, are going to wake up feeling a little bit more lighthearted on December 22nd, 2012, and that's going to leave you more vulnerable. And you're going to have these gurus who are going to come out, and they're going to say the transfer of consciousness or the awakening has happened, and this is what you have to do to feel that, or they're going to cash in on that emotion. They're going to cash in on that, and don't let them do that, because the truth is there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done. We're not just going to, climate change isn't going to go away. We've been having some crazy ass weather since 2004, so one date isn't going to change anything. However, you're going to have people across the board take advantage of this situation to make everyone complacent. I mean, it's already starting. You have some videos that aren't even talking about the world ending on December 21st, 2012. You read some of the comments, and people say at the very bottom that as soon as 2013 rolls around, videos like this they're not gonna have, they're gonna be done. Well, that's the problem. If you think that way, you're way off, man. Look, a lot of people don't have to die, right, in order for the world to change. I agree with a lot of people saying on that, but this isn't about doomsday. When it comes to the Mayan apocalypse, the Mayan apocalypse has some truth in it. What we've been going through up until since 2004, since that first tsunami, through Katrina, through the Haiti earthquake, through the Japan earthquake and tsunami, through the random disasters we've had this year and the year before, the animal deaths, Earth has all went through this before. You understand what I'm saying? And just because there isn't a date, the way the prophecies work, and the way it's not just a a date comes and everybody leaves, everybody's dead. It doesn't work that way. what we've been going through up until this point is I watched a video not too long ago that it explained it as birth pains, right? Or I say it, I compare it more to like somebody with a bad heart. You know, you have these random, you know, moments where your heart just beats a little faster than it should. You're getting left pains in your chest, but you're ignoring them. And then finally the big day comes and there's a heart attack. And then afterwards, it just seems like, you know, everything that person does, you know, maybe they had a way worse heart than they thought, and it just, you keep having random heart attacks. Well, this is what's going to happen after the 21st. If you believe if you believe in 2010's been wild, 2011's been wild, 2012's gotten a little worse, 2013 is going to be no different. We have a lot of huge events coming up in 2013, astronomical events, and unless they're psyops, you know, they're pretty big. And I'm not just talking about the asteroid, what is it, DA14, 2012 DA14, I believe. It's like, you got to look at it like this. Uh, when that asteroid comes, you know, I don't believe it's going to hit Earth. But, you know, there's been other theories out there that says, hey, it might hit a satellite, one of our orbiting satellites, which is pretty disastrous. That is, doesn't mean it's going to do it. But, you know, there's a what-if factor there. And some people may say, you know, well, hey, you're just trying to keep the apocalypse thing going. No, because I don't even think the world would end then. It's just knocking out electricity. It's not the first time humans have lived without electricity. Come on. What I'm simply saying is a series of events that could take place next year, including those that involve climate change or earthquakes. You know, the geomagnetic sphere on Earth has been acting crazy since 2010, and I know there's people that put videos out with the Haiti earthquake where, you know, it was twisting and turning and just going haywire. And I'm not sure, but I think somebody pointed, I think there might be a theory or a video of the same thing on the big tsunami that occurred in 2004 and in Japan. And that's not going to stop, you know. There are forces right now who apparently, it looks like they're trying to help us, but once again, that's in a different video. You know, people are going to call me crazy for that just based on what I just said. But, you know, you can't get complacent. You know, embrace the fact that you're alive. Embrace the fact, you know, treat every day like it's December 22nd, 2012, but don't just start ignoring problems, because, you know, this leads me on to my next psyop that NASA is going to, you know, cause or do, all right, which they've already started. They already put a video out, the I told you so video out, which some may say, I've read some people say, well, why are they doing that? What's the point of doing that? Are they trying to calm us for a big storm? No, they're doing it because they want to say, I told you so. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Here's the thing about NASA. You know, a couple weeks ago there was this big Curiosity discovery that, you know, I don't know if you heard the interview or read the freaking, you know, manuscripts from the interview. The guy said, this looks pretty good. You know, the test, so this looks good. This is going to be one for the history books. And then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, they start backpedaling and saying, that, oh, what he really meant is this is a historic mission. No, he meant that whatever they found was going to be one for the history books, and now you're backpedaling. That's because they're trying to hide what's on Mars. You understand that NASA knows what's in the universe. You know, they're going to use December 22nd, 2012. You know, NASA will, some New Age gurus who want to make money, other right-wingers in the church are going to use it to try to, you know, completely destroy and debunk the old myths. But here's the catch: is, you know, this was included in the Mayan calendar. You know, just because we don't end on the 21st. Look, when we hit the 21st, we're at a crossroads. You understand? We're at a crossroads. We got to make some choices. You know, humankind has to make some choices, and those that exist in the universe around humankind also have to make some choices, which they've already started to make. You know, and those choices are a series of things, right? Let's go with religion first. We, or you, or the species that exist here on Earth that are human, need to start having mature conversations about the church and religion. And look, I'm not telling you to denounce Jesus. I am not telling you to denounce the Creator, the true Creator. But I'm simply saying that the church is not. They are not with us. They are not here okay, the Vatican, for instance, um, the Catholic religion, and I'm talking about the Church, is a very violent religion. It's based on blood. It's based on destruction of other races, cultures, and religions that aren't its own. Look at the Inquisition, the Crusades, and look at the Holocaust. During the Holocaust, um, the Catholic Church allowed Hitler to kill off 6 million Jews and did nothing about it. And then when we won the war, when the Allies, sorry, not we, when the Allies won the war, uh, the Allies in turn, once again I said we, sorry, the Allies, once again, the Catholic Church turned around, the Allies won, and the Catholic Church turned around and said, "Oh, we were forced." Really? Were you forced? Well, if you had the power of God with you, as you claim to have, and the power of Jesus, you should have been able to stop Hitler from doing what he's doing. And even if you didn't, you should have died stopping, because that is your duty as a true followers of the one, the creator, the true creator of all, the creator of the universe, not the creators of the earth, because that is who Catholics serve. And I am not saying Jesus served the creators of earth. If you knew the true teachings of Jesus, you would know that. That's not your fault, because they've been kept from you. But they are starting to come out now. There are a lot of teachings out there, the Gospels of Mary, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Judas, that talk about this. But then, if you look up some Gnostic beliefs, and there's more to this. And it's not just the Catholic, it's not just murder, it's pedophilia. Why hasn't the people rose up and questioned the Vatican for this and said, okay, Pope, if you're not going to do anything, then be removed, because we need a true teacher of God? It's because the Vatican supports it. It's an old Roman um, uh, custom. The Catholic Church comes from the Roman Empire. That's the way the Roman Empire survived. The Roman Empire itself, Rome burnt, but Rome survived through the Catholic Church. That's why there's so many violent things, and there's so much blood that exists within the Catholic Church, because there's so much blood that exists within Rome. It's really crazy when you it's not even that crazy, actually, because it's happened. The Vatican has no intention on stopping these priests from doing these awful things to children, and the only people that are going to stop that is humans, is you, it's Earth, it's this planet, and you need to wake up to that, and you need to realize that's what needs to be done. And then you move on to Mormons and Christianity, and the same thing. You have a lot of Christians that will justify the genocide of Muslims, but that's not right. And the same thing with Mormons is Mormons aren't the worst type of people, and once again, I would say the people that follow these faiths are not bad people themselves. You understand? You have done nothing wrong. You've just been misled. You are good. Nothing bad should ever happen to you. Just recognize that your church is some parts of your church are very evil, and the only way to stop that is if you rise up and question it. You're not if you have a fear of questioning the creator God, which God isn't the right term for it, because that's a title. There really is no title for the creator. The creator, I mean, there's no words that can even explain the magnitude of how great the one is, the creator. If you're afraid of that, you're not questioning. You're questioning the church, and the church isn't always right, and that's been proven throughout time, throughout history, and a lot of people are waking up to that. Don't be afraid to question the church. Don't be afraid to do that, because there's nothing wrong with that. You've done nothing wrong if you do that. And if the more and more people rise up and do that, it could stop a lot of bad things from happening. But it's up to humankind to come to that conclusion. We can no longer support Muslims killing Christians. We can no longer support, and that's the church, and that's, imams. We can no longer support Christians and priests that support the killing of Muslims or any race. We can no longer support the Catholics of doing what they've done throughout history. Um, uh, you know, it's really simple, and I'll also mention the Jews as well. Is there has to be something else that happens with that situation, but that's that's an interesting situation. You gotta look at the Jews' history and some of the things they have went through. I myself, I guess some people would say I was Gnostic. I have a belief system, as in my beliefs come from my experiences, my dreams, some of the messages I received in my life. Maybe people will question those and say they're crazy, but that's up to you to figure out. I know what I've experienced. Um, the next thing I will move on to after religion is um, and I'll speak about that in another video as well, but I'm going to move on quickly, is another thing we need to demand from the government and NASA is the truth about UFOs and visitations. And, the reason for that being is because this is going to sound a little loco to some of you, but hey, this stuff about Pleiadians, Octarians, reptilians, there's some truth with this because it is coming from some type of source. I have participated in some meditations. I do not know what kind of source it comes from as far as Octarians and Pleiadians go. However, I think it's the Hopi beliefs that believe that Pleiadians actually started their civilizations, because they say it comes from the Pleiadian star system. That's a very interesting situation. However, I'll get into this on a different video as well. Same with Octarians. That's a very interesting thing. And reptilians. But there's a lot of things that, about reptilians that I think need to be explored. Once again, I'll get onto that in a different video. The last part would be the Greys, which is the most common alien that I think people encounter or say they have encountered and been abducted by. These beings obviously exist. The government obviously knows. The world government obviously knows. And once again, humanity has to come to those crossroads and start asking these questions because it's important. We need to know this. There's a lot of things going on right now that are very weird with the solar cycle. And there's a person, I'm not going to mention his name on my YouTube video, that I've written to. Great videos, man. He makes some really great videos. A lot of good people out there with good info, and it's good that they're out there, and I hope they continue to 2013 because it's going to be a wild ride. The next thing I'll move on to is one more thing about the different, once we get once we get to 22nd, the things we need to question and make sure we don't just start ignoring, because the next thing on my list is, of course, climate change. It is obviously happening. People will say it's a hoax. It is not a hoax. Not everything is a hoax. That's the biggest problem with humans, is like there's good out there, but you think everything is a hoax. You think everything is bad, and you think that you are being kept in prison. There's a giant grid around Earth suppressing you. No, the only people suppressing you are the people that are on Earth that are serving the people that are trying to suppress us, or the beings that are trying to suppress us. And it's not always who you think it is. It's not just about the Illuminati. There's something happening in the background. We all agree with that. Whatever it is, that's what I believe happened with the NASA and the Mars discovery, is that, there was a big discovery. There's been a few big discoveries, and I've had some crazy encounters in my dreams that I'll talk about someday soon, hopefully, and based on some reading I've done of my own that's made me come to this conclusion about Mars and about Earth and about the universe in whole. Sorry about that. So basically, moving back on to climate change, jump subjects there, is climate change is going to be, if we just ignore the fact that there's been Hurricane Sandy and a Katrina, and that there's been 3 huge earthquakes and tsunamis, or one huge tsunami, that being the tsunami that killed 230,000 people in the Indian Ocean, and then moving on to the Haiti earthquake, which killed about 200,000 people, and then moving on to the Japan earthquake and tsunami, which killed 55,000. Some people will come out and they will say, well, hey, tsunamis and earthquakes happen all the time. It's just because of YouTube and the World Wide Web that we're more in tune with what's going on in the world. That's a little crap, because the World Wide Web has existed for about, I don't even know how many years now. I think I was in 6th grade when it first started coming out. I am old now, not real old, but I'm older now. That it's been about 20 years, I think. So that's a bunk. response to that, I feel, because I've done some research of my own, and the last big tsunami we've had was, I believe, the Chile tsunami in 1963, which also occurred in Japan, but the waves, I don't think, went above 3 to 5 meters, and that's why they built the wall. I think it was 5 meters, and the waves this time went over the wall. You can find this on mainstream on YouTube. Look up "Caught on Camera Japan Tsunami," and you can get the whole thing, and they'll talk about just that. And some of the people who had grandparents or uncles or whatever that were in the Chile tsunami that remember that, and the Chile tsunami didn't even compare in magnitude. Um, so like it's not normal, and that's something we've been ignoring it this whole time. And what's going to happen on December 22nd is the governments, New Age gurus, and a bunch of people are going to say, "See, we told you so. Nothing's wrong. Go back to your lives. Watch Honey Boo Boo or whatever the crazy reality TV shows you watch, and just ignore it. And if something happens, realize it's just random, but it's not random. You understand? And there's more to 2013." There's a lot more to this that people need, and it's sad, and a lot of people aren't going to listen to me and the other people that are trying to tell you this. In fact, it's going to be harder for people like me and people who have been talking about this in 2013, because there's already that belief, but it's going to be harder at first, and then it's going to suddenly hit people when there's another huge earthquake. And there's, with the sun, I mean, that's long from over. Just wait and see for yourself. And it's so hard sometimes, because you see all these things happening, right? And nobody really wants to pay attention to it. They want to ignore it, and they want to call you crazy. But I think you're crazy, because it's so easy to ignore something. Why not? Why doesn't everybody just acknowledge that there's something weird happening? What can we do to fix it? That's part of evolution. Is when your species is faced with the threat of extinction. This was in that movie. I hate to quote a movie of all things, but it really is, and I forgot the name of the movie. Somebody will figure it out. Oh, they better not get me for copyright on that, but really they can't. They can't get me, because it's true. When your species is threatened with existence, you have one of two options: you ignore it and then just die, or you figure out how to evolve and fix it. And they're trying to do that behind our back. There's, I think I'm allowed to mention other people. There's a girl out there named Sheila Aliens, and there's a guy out there named Dutch Sense. They're pretty popular, so anybody who watches has probably watched them before. It will say they have these really great videos on right now, and you should check them out, because they're about Sheila Aliens got a couple about the shooting, but if you go past those down, there's a really interesting video about some dumping that's going on in the British Columbia area, in the water over there. It's this like red iron substance, which kind of looks like the red stuff that's been popping up in different places in the world. However, there's another theory behind that too, but it basically is like, you got to understand that the video basically points out is that nobody knew about it until 3 months after it happened. So they're trying to do this without us, and that doesn't need to be happening. We need to get in tune, and the people that don't want to need to stay away from the people that want to. Because if you don't want to, that's fine. You're free to not. You're free to ignore it, but don't try to make everybody else ignore it. And that's what the whole thing is. Like, ignoring it's not going to make it go away. It's going to make it worse. You ever wonder why suddenly they're interested? And I know this sounds a little wacky, and I'm going to wrap this video up. The last thing I'm going to say is, you ever wonder why this NASA, overall, people is suddenly interested in human long-term exploration of space? They sent a guy in there that's going to stay up there for a year in the space station with the Russians and stuff. You ever question that? And then SpaceX, this new this privatized, half private, half government owned company that's going public next year. The guy who their CEO, whatever, suddenly came out and said that they want to basically start taking a seat. He wants to send a colony to Mars. And I think he wants to have it either started or done within the next decade, but he's charging people $500,000 a ticket. he wants to get 85,000 people. So basically all of the 1% will basically be able to go, 1 or 2%, or let's say 3 or 5% will basically be able to go to Mars and start their own colony. That's how I see it. But that's a whole different conspiracy. It probably will come out sometime in a year or so. Maybe I'm way ahead of the game on that one, because that's some crazy stuff. When I read that article, I just was like, what? But, you know, you ever wonder why they're interested in that? Like, maybe they know something. You ever think about that? And we all know NASA lies. We all agree with that. NASA lies a lot. It's ridiculous, man. You know, like, uh, yeah, and it's just, it's wacky, you know. And I was thinking about that movie I quoted. I didn't actually quote it word for word, so yeah, you can't get me for copyright. Can't, just can't do it. And so basically, uh, the last part, I know I said there was going to be a last part. I'm going to say the what if scenario. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say we're all wrong, and it turns out that something crazy happens on the 21st, right? I don't think it would be like a lot of us would die. I think it may be a whole bunch if it was going to go down, but I think there'd be a great deal of survivors. But just in case, go do something you normally wouldn't do. Don't do anything violent. One more time. Don't do anything violent. Love somebody you normally wouldn't love. If you're an attractive, tall woman who works in an office who's had a nerdy dude that's dug you for a year, you know, give him a chance. Give him a night. Why not? You never know what might happen. And when we wake up on the 22nd, that could turn into something beautiful, and you could always say it was because of this video. You know, if you're someone who's always wanted to paint a picture, if you're someone who's always wanted to go to a concert and never did, if you're never been to a rave, if you never hiked a tall mountain, if you what can I think here? I mean, just have fun. You never know. You never know. Treat every day like it's your last. You know, just, you know, it's crazy to think about. I think you guys are all great. You know, even if you don't watch my video, and the few people I may actually reach, if you listen to this, pass it on. You all are all wonderful. You are all beings that are completely capable of doing anything, no matter what anybody tells you. And that's the thing. And I'll get deeper into this in the next videos. This is my technically second. My last one I didn't want to throw my face, and the audio was really bad. So take care. You guys are wonderful. Love ya. Peace. What would we do without a peace sign? Thank you for listening. Bye.